Hi. So, I guess yet again, the only person who can elicit a response from me that requires me to do a video because I just can't possibly put it all in their comments. It's Funky Dineva is at it again. Um, and I tip my hat to Funky Dineva because Funky Dineva knows the topics to sort of pick that seem really authentic for him to communicate on, and that also resonates with, I don't think, not only just his audience, but that he can lend voice to, that it's authentic and it resonates, and he's a master at that. um but like I said in probably my last video, there is a level to delusion and disconnectedness with Funky Dineva that is a disservice to his platform. Look, today I watched a 16-minute video where he commented on a young man, a young person that decided to wear heels. And I've seen a few of these photos going viral that are graduation photos that are a little, what can I say? Like they're thirsty. They seem to be saying, they're very pick me photos. And this is a social media era concept that is over my head. I think a lot of these photos would have ended up in a photo album and maybe shared amongst friends, but now they have the capacity to go viral. And this last photo, and the one that elicited a comment from Funky Dineva, there is a photo of a young man in a dusty rose mauvey pink, like purpley pink pantsuit, and like a strappy heel. And his toes look amazing. His manicure looks amazing. And he's a bit of a thicker fellow, but he definitely is masculine appearing, has a bit of stubble in the beard, and he's posed in a very classically collegiate photo framing, outside of like an antique door. Um, what was that? It looks like a classic collegiate photo, except he has on a pink suit and a pair of heels. The pink suit really isn't so much of a thing to me because that's kind of the Steve Harvey of it all to me. It's the heels that I think elicited the comments. And honestly, when I had seen the pictures kind of floating by, like I said, it kind of lumped in with these other photos I had seen. I think there was like, there's one with a young lady. God, I can't even remember what she's doing, but it cropped up in this group. And there's a gentleman. He kind of looks like he's a runaway slave, but he's got a graduation cap on, and I think he's supposed to be trying to make that sort of depiction of I am the dream of our ancestors. But it just comes across very cringe. Um, but even cringe factor aside, I mean, things that go viral, nobody knows the magic of what makes things go viral. And when Funky Dineva comments on things, I know that it's risen to a level that Funky Dineva feels like this intersects with their platform. But then, like a few other videos I've seen over the past year with Funky Dineva, it diverts into this sort of conservative talking points that are incongruous with the person who's saying these things. And I see this a lot with black gay men, especially. I see it with gay men a lot, no matter what race. It's just sort of this aging factor with gay men where they have been, and it's kind of the same with affirmative action and conservative Black folks, where they got to profit from messiness or from a liberation, and once they've gotten through, they are harder on people coming through the gates after them. As far as I know, and I tried to do a little research, Funky Dineva did not name this person, did not link anything, not that I noticed. So I had no other background other than that this was causing a Twitter storm. But I'm not one that keeps up on sorority fraternity news. Yet every year around this time, there's sort of a crop of outlandish prom and graduation photos that show the extraness of Black folks and just what makes us who we are. And so this was, one of those trend stories. So when I clicked on the commentary from Funky Dineva, I expected some sort of link between Funky Dineva and this person being a part of the fraternity, sort of his experience as an openly gay person who has performed in drag-ish as a drag performer. And I know people want to say all forms of drag are valid, but I don't know if Funky Dineva considered what they did drag when they were doing it. So I can't really say. And from my memory of it, it was literally just wigs and a lipstick. I don't know if that's necessarily drag. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's what it was considered then, or in hindsight, that's what he considers it now. Me personally, whatever form of eye-catching, feminine enhancement that Funky Dineva chose to do back in the day wasn't really why I tuned into Funky Dineva, because those looks were horrific. I mean, I thought that was the point of it. Was it that there was this sort of sense that Funky Dineva was the, ratchet, say what you want, do what I want type of person. And I'm just going to be a mess in public. And it's just sort of that crackhead energy that's sort of a part of the snarkiness of social media. But I never really considered it serious. I thought it was all a joke. And I thought that was the point. I thought it was some camp sort of attempt at being eye-catching and relatable on this new, media platform. And I sat there and watched today waiting to hear Funky Dineva say something that connected his experience of sort of, being in this intersection of Black Greek and, performative identity and media, and sort of, dissecting it a bit more, if anybody could talk about this, it would be a member of the fraternity that has also been seen looking a fool in public in a feminine presentation. First of all, the guy in the photo, the subject of the matter, it wasn't a great fashion choice. The pink suit was very Hillary Clinton mom-esque. The shoes looked cheap. There was not, it wasn't a red bottom moment. His toes looked great. His pedicure looked great. His manicure looked great. But his grooming wasn't on point. It's a very subpar photograph of someone who clearly is young enough and brave enough to make a fashion statement in a photo for, it was a choice. It was a choice. It was not a Billy Porter at the Oscars and Christian Siriano moment. I wanted to, I thought that's the problem that Funky Dineva was going to have. Like, as a person who participated in crunchy drag, I thought that he would talk more about the crunchy drag aesthetic and the campness of it, and why he chose to do, you know, that moment. I thought he would intersect in that way with the photograph. Like, it was just bad fashion, and that was a big part of Funky Dineva's past and kind of current. You know, Funky Dineva is not a fashionista. Um, you know, I don't claim to be a fashionista, but I know one when I see one, and Funky Dineva is not it, and nor was this child in his heels in his dusty rose grandma pantsuit. And I was just wondering when Funky Dineva in those 16 minutes would get to that point of relatability. Just saying to this young person that, you know, yeah, I took risks, and I definitely had to fight my way through the organization and learn the ways and the roles I was playing. And the thing that he had learned was that, you know, there is a person who's doing something for their career, and there's a person who's doing something as a role of an organization, and he has learned how to navigate those things. And here are his tidbits of wisdom. That is not what we got. For 16 minutes, he stood up on his soapbox and talked as if he was better than this person. He talked down on people in the organization. He put the organization on blast for their homophobia. I don't know a lot about fraternities, but I have often heard that Alpha Phi Alpha is the gay fraternity. It is the fraternity of teachers and intellectuals and lawyers. I had often heard that, but I don't give a fuck. That is not of interest to me at all. I live very close to several of the most important HBCUs. I've never been attracted to that culture. I grew up in the 90s when HBCU culture was the thing. I have never been attracted to that culture because I'm too much of an individual. I like to figure out things on my own. And I thought that's what Funky Dineva was leaning towards. Like, as a person who, I thought that's what Funky Dineva would have been leaning towards. Like, as a person who's been carving out their own individual path in this new world of technology, that they've made some mistakes, in that the intention of the persona of Funky Dineva was a camp presentation, that it was to cause a stir, get people to notice. It was a strategy. And I think he alluded to the fact that there was a strategy and an intention behind it, and that he eventually pulled it off. But 5 or 6 years ago, when Funky Dineva first started, I don't think that Funky Dineva knew the intention behind that camp, funky, crunchy drag that he was doing. I think he just knew that he had an idea of what to do, and that he kept doing what worked, and until he made a career out of it. The side of him that got his economics degree down to the FAMU University, he learned that, you know, you do what works. Like, you can have a million business ideas, but if this is what the people want and they're willing to pay for it, then do it. Like, half of me wants to go slap on a wig and some bad lipstick and look like this and still consider myself a drag persona. And, you know, yeah, if it catches eyes, but I use the platform for something different until I learn what to use it for. And I think that's what phase Funky Dineva was in when he first started YouTube. This child was, there's one picture that has only gone viral because of, I would almost venture to say the only reason it went viral on Hotep Media first. And I mean, because I'm sure it didn't make it through the fashion people. The fashion people were probably not interested. You know, Black culture, you know, Shadow and Act and all that group, they probably were disinterested. You know, Billy Porter didn't share it. He's probably disinterested. I think the only reason this made it through social media was as a kiki for people who disapproved of all of it. And there are several levels to disapprove of. But the lane that Funky Dineva took was kind of shocking to me. The lane of, I learned how to separate and compartmentalize Funky Dineva from Alpha Phi Funky is perplexing to me. Like, you were a whole mess out in these streets, repping for FAMU and Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Like, that's just who you are. If you're, I mean, what we know about you off of the break. I mean, if you watch one video, you will know that Funky Dineva went to FAMU. Funky Dineva has a degree in economics. Funky Dineva does not have great fashion, and Funky Dineva is a bit of a wild card. Cool. Then you find out, watching other videos, plenty of times that you are also an Alpha Phi Alpha member. Now, you might separate those things money-wise and role-wise in your life, but we see them all as the same person. And the fact that you don't know that is delusional. Like, if he can't wear his little heels and pink suit in one photo, but you can have years of video of you in horrible drag, looking horrible, saying horrible things, being, you know, put on blast by large swaths of Black women and gay men. Like, girl, like, let this child play. Let the children play. Like, what you should be able to talk about is the fact that things can go viral without you trying. You don't know what's going to go viral. You don't know what's going to make an impact. And if the child wanted to make an impact and say something about what it's like to live in this intersection of gender expression, individuality, and also honoring tradition, this is what it looks like in 2021. That's what that he said. What the fuck he said? Like, I don't know what you're really contributing to that discussion. As a member of this age-old fraternity that included Martin Luther King, and you're saying you've done all these things and that other people, you know, might criticize you, but you're doing better than them. That's your favorite go-to thing, is how much financially you're doing better than other people, as that's some sort of marker of actual success. It just doesn't click. What would sound like a successful person's perspective on this is giving someone younger the wisdom and knowledge that you've gained from navigating those same things. And that is not what Funky Dineva did. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think she just literally gets on here. It's like the evil stepmother sort of looking in the mirror saying, who's the fairest of them all, darling? Funky Dineva, she's the one, you know, like the B. Scotts of the world and you know, all the other, you know, social media commentators, the black socialite and the concrete loops, and none of them survived, and I've survived. And like, it's insane. It's really insane. It's like, you know, now he's basically Tamisha Imaning this poor child, and even Tamisha Iman like would lend a hand, would say to the like, come over here, let me show you how to do this thing well and right as a survivor of this industry going into this new way of doing things. Funky Dineva, you would benefit from maybe volunteering with young black gay men or young queer men of color, listening more than talking. I think you must spend a lot of time talking, and cutting deals and doing things. But no, sis, this was not the move. This was you harming the community. That person was not harming the community. We've all had, I mean, there are whole videos about, you know, there is an entire homophobic context on the internet of what Black Greek life is really all about. And this one child in his heels and pink suit, yeah, it might contribute to that drama, but you can't spend 4 years looking like you looked on the internet, connecting yourself to this organization, and then tell this child that in his one photo, he's done all the damage. Like, come on, sis. Like, what? The one photo, that one bad suit, that one heel, and you have how many videos, how many television appearances of you with bad wigs and bad lipstick and bad makeup looking crazy. And we know you. And we know you are out. Like, come on. Anyways, all right, bye, y'all.